But the show opens up, and this was May 1st. I would have, if it was April 1st, I could have seen where they were going. But the show opens up with Tony live via satellite from Jacksonville, quote unquote. He's at a fake monitor producing desk. He's in front of a bad green screen. Good Lord. It looked like the weather segment on the TV news in Cedar Rapids, for fuck's sake. And his story while he's sitting there wearing a neck brace, and you know, if anybody in fucking Iowa just happens to be flipping by, somebody, hey, Maud, look at this guy. Is he wearing a neck brace or a toilet seat? And he's reading from a teleprompter. Now he's gone from Tony Kokan to Lithium Larry. It was like the Star Trek episode where the planet's leader was drugged in a room with the microphone in front of his mouth where you couldn't see that his lips weren't moving. As he read this statement, and the gist of it was that he's not medically cleared to travel, so don't worry, folks. I'm going to produce the show from right here in Jacksonville remotely. Is he fucking Spielberg? Is there nobody else can do? What if he has a goddamn gallbladder operation? Do we preempt the show that week?
Were any fans saying, oh no, who will produce the show?
No, there was the panic. It was spread throughout the company at the thought that he couldn't be there to produce the show. So,
and again, smiling. He wasn't saying,
yes.
He didn't put his hand to his neck like he was hurt. He didn't indicate he was hurt in any way other than he was wearing a neck brace.
He was happy to let you know that he was still going to be able to fucking produce the show. Fuck his pain that he's going through. He's going to be there to make sure that we don't have to preempt this. And again, you got to think for the average person sitting there thinking, okay, if this guy gets hit by a taxi tomorrow, the show goes off the air. This guy is the only one standing in between this program and fucking a test pattern. Fuck, they're fucked. So he's reading the statement, and then suddenly there's static in it. And then it looks like the Max Headroom takeover, Brian, that you know well.
I don't know anything about that, no.
Where there's a picture popping, there's a statute of limitations. There's a picture popping back and forth, and Tony's being interrupted, and finally color bars at AEW, no signal. And then the Buckaroos, Maddie and Nikki, pop up in the TV truck. Quote unquote, in the TV. This may have been a bad green screen too, I don't know. But children think that TV works that way. If they really had taken over the TV truck, all they would have had to do was just switch from Tony's incoming feed live via satellite in Jacksonville to the camera that they had obviously set up in the truck, and it would have been seamless. It would have looked like a camera switch.
No, they overloaded the feed, apparently.
They didn't have to. They're in the truck. They could press one button and Tony's fucking toast. He's off the goddamn air. They're in the truck. If they don't know how TV works, they have people there that could have explained it to them. You don't have to override the feed when you're in charge of the fucking feed, do you? Did HBO hack themselves?
No, that was Captain Midnight.
That's what I'm saying. It's only a real hack if somebody outside does it, not when they do it from master control, you stupid motherfuckers. Anyway, they're running the show tonight. And they were smarmy and douchebaggy and etc. when they did it. Before we go into the regular program, do you have any comments to make about what we've already seen, that these children are in charge of this thing?
You know, I was waiting with anticipation how they were going to follow everything up. The angle last week, and then, of course, Tony appearing in the neck brace at the NFL draft got some attention, but really the angle last week. And it starts with a smiling Tony Khan sitting in, it just looks cheap. It looked really bad. And then again, like you said, overloading the feed in such a fake way that how could anyone take it seriously? And then it goes to the Bucks, and I'm sorry. The Bucks do not work as lead heels because they can't pull it off. And every time they're talking and acting, and the one who does all the talking now, he's got one of those Adam Cole stutters. Where at the beginning of every sentence, and it's just not working and not clicking. And it hit me right away. If this is the follow-up, a smiling Tony Khan can't be there, but I'm producing remotely, and then these guys, as you know, like the fucking Muppet babies of NWO, I don't know what they are out there. You can't believe it. And I said right away, I said, people are going to tune out of this show. And I don't know what the ratings are yet because they haven't come in as we're starting this. But I thought this was a bad first sign.
Which one's Jerry Mahoney and which one's Knucklehead Smith? Look, Google it, kids.
He used to live in Point Lookout, Paul Winchell.
And somebody else needs to look out too, because that's even if they wanted to try to carry this off, wouldn't it have been? Should Tony have been sitting in Shad Khan's office? Should Shad have been saying, Tony, this is too dangerous. You can't do this anymore. No, I'm going to stand up on my own 2 feet, Dad. I'm not going to be run out of this company that I started in the end, you know, just by these turncoats or what, something. But
they should have gone the other way. Yeah, they should have gone the other way. Him like in a bed, like operating the show via tongue, like a Swedish nurse.
But thank you, Nurse Goodbody. So you mean like the fucking what's his name? Goddamn, the Stephen Hawking thing. He blows into a tube and the fucking wrestlers run into the ring.
You got 2 ways to do this. You could try to do it the right way and it won't work. And they can't do it. So that's out. That's not an option. Or I think they should just lean into this and go balls to the wall stupid. But it all has to come from lead.
You mean they haven't?
I think it has to come from lead babyface Tony Khan. And it's still a thing in progress. I'm hoping that the way things are going and degenerating there, we may get for the AEW Championship sometime in the next year, a Tony Khan Anna Jay feud.
No, I'm going the other way. I'm thinking that they're not going to intentionally, they're going to lean into a lot of shit, probably fan blades and all kinds of stuff, but not really on purpose just because they're dumb. But this is the real ratings draw is going to be as Tony gets more and more desperate, under-medicated, over-medicated, burned out, stressed out, whatever the case, the actual on-camera nervous breakdown, now that he apparently will be a recurring character in this fucking dog and pony show, he's going to be like a comedic Howard Beale, where everybody's going to tune in to see how far his mental breakdown will progress on each week's television.
I guess this is the point for me to ask you this, because there's other stuff that happens in the world of the, heel EVPs later in the show, but this really is the follow-up to Tony getting hurt. Also, his dad coming in the ring. That was the very last thing we saw on Dynamite last week, was Shad Khan. Cut off at 10. So everyone got that episode. Like, there was no overrun. The last thing we saw was a concerned Shad Khan, if you knew who he was. Otherwise, it was just, who's that concerned man? You had questions. Did they do anything to follow that up properly?
Didn't mention him. Didn't mention old Shad coming out there. Didn't fucking, didn't.
I mean, that's the thing. If you haven't followed AEW since last week's show, and the last thing you saw was all that, and you begin this week with a smiling Tony Khan in a conference room, how are you supposed to take any of this seriously?
Well, but also, they didn't show Shad, but they didn't show any medical treatment that Tony might have undergone. They didn't, it's just that he felt himself to be so indispensable that the people would tune out instantly if they didn't know at the top of the program, Tony's producing it, that had to override any common sense and logic that he got fucking dropped on his head, that little stack of dimes neck that he's got. And a week later, he's sitting up producing a show wearing a fucking Walgreens neck brace, a soft collar, by the way, not even a halo. They should have screwed a halo in. But it's just, it's idiocy. Would you like to go to the next idiot?
And that was the start. It took us that long just to talk about the first 2 minutes of the show.
Well, I mean, it's